All right, today is the 4th day of October, 10/4. Couldn't resist that one. So let's talk about a type of promissory note that's called a simple discount note. Now it's page 286 in your book. So here's what you need to remember. Simple discount note. There's what you need to remember. Discount. That means the amount of interest that will be due on the note is subtracted from the amount the borrower, is I before E except after C?
I have no idea.
I think that's right. Receives at the start of the loan. Now this has got there's a word for this, and I always have trouble remembering how to spell it. Okay, there it is. We refer to what the borrower really gets as proceeds. Now, last chapter we looked at calculating interest, and we would calculate the interest as the principal times the rate times the time, and then to get the maturity value we added that to the principal. Okay? This time we're going to subtract. That's pretty much the difference. I told you it was pretty much the same thing. Okay? So we're going to subtract. And let me write something else down here.
Do we need our date calendar for this?
Yeah. Yep. You need your date chart. For example, if you obtain a $10,000 discount note, you will actually receive less than 10,000, and I'll show you how you calculate that in a minute. Actually, you already know how to calculate it. You'll receive less than 10,000, but you only have to pay $10,000 back. Up where? What? Like that? Oh, this way. Okay. Sorry.
That would be due on the, does that work?
So you're paying back more than you receive. Is that right?
Well, let's work one and I'll show you.
Well, is it fair?
Okay. Let's work one, then we'll go back and visit the definition. All right. So I'll use the $10,000. So for example, how about principal of $10,000 How about 5% rate? Okay. What do you want to use for time? You want to use 1 year? I'll make it easy. Let's use 1 year. Okay. So here's what you're going to do. Calculate the interest. It's still principal times rate times time. So it's $10,000 times 0.05 times the quantity 1 year. It's going to be 1 year over 1 year, isn't it? Because you remember the 5% is per year. All right, is everybody with me so far? Okay, just what we did last chapter. So, can we do that in our heads? Or calculator? 10% of 10,000 is 1,000, so half that's $500. Okay? Now, here's the deal. For our $10,000 discounted note, here's what's going to happen. That's right. The proceeds you actually receive is going to be 10,000 minus the 500. So the proceeds is actually $9,500, but you pay back 10,000.
So they keep 500 of it. And
They
you
keep
have
the interest off the top.
And then you still have to pay the 500.
Right. Now the good news is, I guess, well, if you're the consumer, in the last chapter, you would have to say, I borrowed $10,000 and the interest was 5% for a year. I got to add that on, so my maturity value is yada, yada, yada. Okay? And you might get surprised because you might have forgotten all about the interest or whatever. This way, with a discount note, you borrow $10,000, that's what you pay back. But you don't get that much on the front end. The amount of interest is discounted from the note itself. So the only difference between this chapter and last chapter is we subtract rather than add. Okay? It's always kind of good to find something you already know how to do, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay?
Why do people put up with this?
What? Why?
I don't like that. Do you?
Well, I think what happens, Gretchen, is the people with the money make the rules.
Well, that's just not even right. People will just go and slap them.
You go back up to the written bit.
Okay. Now, after we worked our example here, does this make any sense or more sense? The amount of the interest is subtracted from what you think you're borrowing. And that's called the proceeds. The good news is you pay back the amount of the note itself. You don't have to add any interest back in because that's already been taken care of. Okay? Now, let me tell you or show you an example of this. Let me make sure they've got the right formulas in here. I was looking here on page 292. I don't see a specific formula here. Let's see if we can make our way through this, though. Yeah, I think we can. Look on page 288. So, what I want to talk about here, it's kind of different, but this is a variation on discounted notes. And it's kind of important, so let's talk about this. There are these things called Treasury bills. Or T-bills. Anybody ever heard the expression T-bills? Hear it on TV every once in a while. Actually, sometimes you hear it in some sort of drama, or if you watch any kind of financial, news, you'll hear this idea of T-bills. This is how the United States government funds our national debt. Have I showed you yet how much y'all owe?
Some trillion.
Yeah, a bunch of trillions, like almost 21.
That was closer to 21 trillion. Yeah, 21 trillion.
Yeah, but every one of us owes like several hundred thousand, so. Anyway, this is how the government finances the national debt. They sell these things called T-bills. Now, but these are discounted. So T-bills are, of course, sold by the U.S. Treasury, and there could be other treasuries in different countries that do this, probably. Let's see if we can get today's price on a T-bill, or the last time they sold. Daily T-bill rates. This is from your government. So let's see what we got here. And some of these are very technical terms. Now, I'm not even sure what coupon equivalent is. I think it's a fancy word for something here in the book. But notice here, 26 weeks. 26 weeks is basically half a year, because the whole year is 52, isn't it?
Yeah.
So notice it says the bank discount is 2.34%. Well, let me show you how this works. How this works. I will play the Treasury. I announce, let me fix that, that looks funny. I have a, let's say $10,000 26-week T-bill for sale. Okay, so you guys play the consumers. Now, if I'm offering a $10,000 T-bill, would you give $10,000 for it? Keep in mind, that's what it's going to be worth in 26 weeks. $10,000. Would you give $10,000 for it?
No.
No, because you'd be getting how much interest? None. Okay? So giving $10,000 for that, that's probably not your best plan, is it? Okay, I'm going to have to work at this, aren't I? So let's see here. So $10,000, no offers. Okay? So as the treasury, I'd say, well, anybody give me that? Anybody taking that? Okay, that didn't work either. How about, is anybody interested in that price? Now keep in mind, whatever price you bid here, you're getting $10,000 back. Now the difference between what you have to buy it for and the $10,000 is your interest. Does everybody see how that works? Okay?
So if you gave
This
nine-
thing's going to be worth $10,000 in 26 weeks.
But if you gave $9,800 for it, then your interest is $200.
Yeah. And we'll show you how to figure that a percentage here in a minute. That ain't much interest. Anybody taking 9,800? No, I'm not. Wait a minute, I'm the treasurer. Wait a minute. How about that? Now, let's assume you buy the note with a T-bill for, let's make it 9,600. All right, if you look here at the bottom of the bottom half of page 288, it tells you how to calculate this. Let's see if we can figure this out. I wish they'd have put that in a little bit better form. To get the effective rate, let me see if I can rewrite this for you. The effective rate is going to be calculated thusly. You'll notice there that the amount of the interest you're actually going to receive is on top. The interest is on top. And then on the bottom, you're going to have, let's see, I don't know if I want to use the word principal here. Can we use amount? It's the amount paid is what it is, times the time, where AMT equals what you paid. Okay? So let's plug the numbers in here for our particular case. How much interest are we going to get here? We're going to get $400 eventually after 6 months, 52 weeks. Okay? Now on the bottom, we actually paid $9,600, didn't we? Well, we have to multiply that times 26 over 52. That'll cancel out there. Okay, so let me rewrite this. We're going to have 400 divided by 9,600 times basically 0.5, isn't it? 26 divided by 52 is 0.5. Okay, you can leave it as 26 over 52 if you want to, and I'll show you how to do that. Most of y'all got the graphing calculators, don't you? Well, I'll show you how you do that. So get your calculators out. Clear. Now, here's the way you're going to put it in your calculator. Let me rewrite it here just the way it is. Actually, I don't have to because it's right there. Here's what I'm going to add put it in the calculator. I'm going to add those parentheses. That's just telling the calculator that we want to keep the bottom part all together. Now, these parentheses right here tell the calculator, well, do this part first. So whatever you get in there, multiply that by the 9,600, and then keep all that together and divide it into 400. That's what these parentheses are telling the calculator to do. So here's what it's going to look like on the calculator. That parentheses right there is that blue one. Okay? And then we got 9,600 or 9,600 times, open up another parentheses, that's that one right there. And then 26 divided by 52, close parentheses, that's the red one. Close another parentheses, that's the blue one. Press enter. Okay? Now let's see here. That means let me pull this over. We got a pretty good deal here, by the way. Better than you could get in the real world. Let me do this. I'm going to paste this right here, and then I'm going to pull that out. Now, do you want me to? I can do this if you want me to. I can say that's that one. That's that one. And then I'm going to have to cross these one way or the other. That's that one. And then finally that's... Does everybody see how the parentheses work? Now the .08 is a decimal. What do we have to do to that? Now, you can't get there right now. You can get 2%, or I actually thought some of these are up to 3%, or they're getting close. But you see how this works? Now, think about this. As the auction goes on and the price goes down without anybody buying it, the amount of interest it actually bears goes up, and therefore your rate goes up. So when they say the price of a T-bill is down, that really means the rate is up. Okay? I think, I'm trying to think, it seems like I've heard people on TV talking about the price of T-bills was bid down today. And see, when the price goes down, people are, the people are buying these are sitting there thinking, well, I'm not going to give that much for that T-bill because that's not a good risk, and I can probably get a better return if I just sit here and let the price drop. But think about what's happening. Look up here. I started off offering a T-bill $10,000. Nobody wanted to buy it because there wasn't any interest on it, was there? Nobody wanted it at $9,900. Nobody wanted $9,800. Finally, and this is quite arbitrary, because you're never going to get, these days, you're not going to get 8%. But finally somebody said, I'll buy it for $9,600. Now, whoever bought that gets $10,000 back in 6 months. But they only had to pay $9,600 for it up front. So this is the same thing as these discounted notes that I was showing you over here. Do what?
How do you do it if you don't have a fancy calculator?
I haven't played with your calculator enough to know. One thing you could do is just deal with the bottom by itself. I divided 26 by 52 and got 0.5.
Right.
and then multiply that by the 9,600, and then whatever you get there divided into the 400. Y'all do it in pieces. I haven't looked at your calculator to see what it'll do. Does it have parentheses on it?
No,
Yes or no?
no,
Okay.
no, it does not.
I can't live without parentheses. Sorry, I just can't. So these are T-bills. This is how your government, on your behalf, finances debt. And since we're on the subject here, y'all, while you're all thinking about that, let's see who owns. Who owns the U.S. debt?
Well, it's still not right.
According to Forbes, who they have they're a big financial magazine. You ever heard of the Forbes 500? Those are companies. They put out a list every year of the richest people. Y'all want to take a shot? Who's the richest person in America? It was just announced yesterday.
Probably
Who?
Oprah Winfrey.
I don't know. I'm sure she's up there. $168 billion. Yeah, the guy's name's Jeff Bezos, and he started Amazon. Bill Gates I forgot what he's down to now, or whatever. Bill Gates started Microsoft.
He gets most of his money to charity, though.
Yeah, Bill Gates is giving a lot of his away. All right.
She does it in her calculator. She gets a really weird number.
Well, we'll have to look at it. Here's Forbes's rough breakdown on U.S. debt. You may have heard that, we're worried about how much of our debt the Chinese actually own. They have a pretty good block of this, but the big thing is domestically, about 2/3 of the U.S. debt is owned by us. It's our debt. And our president at one time said that he didn't have any problem with defaulting on the debt. Y'all know what that means? If you default, you basically tell whoever loaned you the money, well, sorry about your luck, but I'm not going to pay you back. Can you imagine what would happen if the United States government defaulted on the debt? Oh boy. Anyway, let's see here. It says here the largest foreign holders of U.S. debt were China, 7.2%, and Japan, 7%. So really, that's not that much, is it? China, 7%. I ain't worried about them. I am worried about the $21 trillion. You okay, Gretchen?
No, I'm just trying to.
According to Forbes, about 1/3 of our debt is owned by foreign countries or people, and about 2/3 of it is domestic, which means, well, I don't think if any of us got any money to invest in anything, but people who have money can buy T-bills. And it's not a very risky thing because we assume that the U.S. government's not going to do what? Default? Yeah, default on the debt. So, a lot of money put...
Go to Charles Schwab or somebody and tell them to buy some.
Yeah.
Seems kind of like an ineffective way to pay off the debt, though.
Well, nobody said this made sense. But this is how we finance our debt. Which is a scary, scary number.
So is it like a savings bond? Like, how you can get savings
Yeah.
bonds?
It's pretty much, I think,
Shorter term.
I'm not sure if savings bonds are discounted. And I think they've changed over the years. I had one years and years and years and years ago, and it was worth a certain amount. But it was worth a lot more when it matured, when I cashed it in. So that is what we did last chapter. Okay? It has a face value. Maturity value is that plus whatever interest. That's the way they used to work. They may not work that way anymore. I don't know. I guess if I think about it, sometimes I'll look it up, try to get the answer for you. Those are bonds. These are what's called T-bills, what we're looking at here. Anyway, so that's how you do those. Everybody okay with that? What time is it? We probably need to work a couple problems here. Let me see if I can find a couple problems. And we'll put off Learning Unit 11-2. We'll do that next time. That's similar concept. It just gets a little more complicated. So let's see here. How about page 293? About 11-2.
29,680 days.
Mine's got 2,900. 11-2, page.
I did not sleep very good last night.
It's dark in here too.
I know.
293. So the principal, I think you could probably also consider that to be the face value. It's 2,900. Or notice this time they call it discount rate, but it's still rate. 6 1/4. I'd go on and write it like this. Okay? Put that added step in there because it makes more sense to me. And our time is now keep in mind this is a discount note. So first thing we're going to do here is figure out what the interest would be under these conditions. Let me write down the formula. Interest is principal times the rate times the time. The principal is 2,900. The rate is 0.0625. And here we're going to have 180 days over, does it say simple interest? It doesn't, yeah, use ordinary interest rather. So it'll be over 360, won't it? Those cancel out. I'm going to put those in parentheses. Calculator.
That's 0.5.
Hmm?
180 over 360. 180 over 360.
0.5. There you go. I thought you said 7.5, and I thought, wait a minute, what?
0.5.
Where would that number even come from? Of course, you can't hear yourself thinking here with this big rumbling over here. What else? 625 times the quantity, 180 over 360. And yeah, Melissa's right. If you look at that and say that's 1/2, yeah, that's good. You can go and put that in there.
362.
So I come up with $90.63. What'd y'all get?
I got 362.
Hmm?
362. I didn't do it right on this.
I guess I should have waited for my screenshot. $90.63. Now, it wants to know the proceeds, doesn't it? So the proceeds are 2,900 minus $90.63. By the way, if you've got one of these fancy calculators, watch what you can do here. I want to subtract that. I can put in my 2900, and then notice down here at the bottom, beside the enter key here, there's something that says ANS. That stands for answer. So if you do second answer, whoops, you got to put in a sign first. I want to subtract. Subtract second answer. It'll go back and get the previous answer and put it in there for you. You don't have to type it in again. Press enter. It's down beside of the enter. There's a little thing there that looks like a minus sign.
Bam.
So, this is pretty much the same as what we did before, only you subtract rather than add. We can do that, can't we?
I got 37 cents.
Oh, yeah,
Well, but wait a minute. Here, let me show you something.
It's 37.5, whatever.
Yeah, but watch. Here's what happens. This is rounded off to 2 decimal places. By doing second answer, I'm getting the 90.63 plus whatever decimal places are out there. Okay? So if we're a penny off, it's probably because you entered by hand, didn't you, $90.63?
Mm-hmm.
Where I said get the answer, and there's some decimal places there that it's not showing me, but it keeps up with them. So that's what happened.
It's actually happened before where I had like 1 cent off.
Yeah.
So
So
this one's actually correct.
typically the second answer is more correct. And sometimes the book will say do not round off intermediate answers, and that's what they're trying to get at. You know, you can run off, you can wind up a penny or two off, depending on how you round as you go through. Well, that wasn't bad, was it? Let's see if we can find a T-bill problem. How about 1112? Okay, 1112 is a more complete way of looking at the T-bill problem. I don't know if more complete's the best way of looking at it. It's just a little bit different than what we worked the first time. And actually, I'm not sure it makes any sense. Any more sense to do it that way than the other way. Let's just look at 1112. I'll show you what I'm talking about. 1112, page 294. The Treasury Department auctioned $21 billion in 3-month bills, denominations of $10,000 at a discount rate of 4.965. Now, in this, a while ago, I was selling them, and we were looking at what you actually paid for them. In this case, they give you the discount rate. Okay, now that's not the same thing as the effective rate. And you'll see in a minute what the difference is. And that's what it wants to know. What's the effective rate? Well, here's the way you do this. First, so let me write this down. We're still looking at a $10,000 T-bill. And this time we're told that the discount rate is, what was it, 4.965%. What am I making that dollars for? That's not dollars. 0.04965 is a decimal. T equals 3 months. So here's what we're going to do. First, let's find the interest using, how about this, dollar interest. This is what the dollars it's going to be. We're going to be using this number right here. Okay? So, for one of these, $10,000, and our rate is 0.04965, and then here we're going to have 3 months over 12 months, because that's what it takes for those to cancel out. Now if you sit there and you say 3 divided by 12 is 0.25, I'm fine with that, because it is. So now let's multiply this out, and we'll find out how much interest as far as dollars we're going to be getting for the government having our money for 3 months. Carefully punch in 10,000. Make sure you get the right number of zeros. Times 0.04965 times quantity, and I'm going to enter it just like that. 3 divided by 12. Enter. So under these conditions, you're actually going to be making $124.13 per $10,000 note. Now it wants the effective rate. Now let me back up here. I'm going to show you something. Take a screenshot. Let me stick this over here. So that's how we got that. Now, go back to the previous page. To get the effective rate, what did you need? Well, you need the amount of interest you're actually going to get. We just calculated that, didn't we? What's this? AMT is what you really paid for the note. Okay, so let's figure that out. So the amount paid for the note is going to be found how? The note's $10,000. You're not going to pay that much for it, are you? So what are you going to do here? See, if you're getting $124.13 of interest, you can subtract that from the $10,000 and find out what you really had to pay for this $10,000 T-bill. So let's do that. And again, I'm going to do 10,000 minus second answer here. So I got 98.7588 rounded off. Okay? Or that's actually what I'm going to write down. 98.7588. So, to buy the $10,000 T-bill, we had to fork over $9,875.88. Okay, for that money, we get a $10,000 T-bill, which is worth $10,000 in 3 months. It's not worth that now, but in 3 months, it's worth $10,000. Okay. Now, go back to our formula over here.
So what's this 98.75?
This is what we actually had to pay.
That's the actual amount. Is that
That's what we really paid for the $10,000 note. How about this? Paid for $10,000 T-bill. Okay? Remember, these are discounts. You don't pay the full $10,000. Okay? So,
Yeah, that's what
if we go back over here, I can probably do this. How cool is that? I can copy that and bring it right over here. So to get the effective rate, we're going to do this. We're going to take the interest, which we calculated right there, and we're going to divide that by the amount we paid for it, right there, multiply by the time that we have the note, and that is 3 months. So now we can plug in our numbers here. So 124.13, and then down here we're going to have 98.75.88 times the quantity 3 months divided by 12 months, and of course those cancel out, don't they? Okay. Now this is one of the situations where we might come up a penny off depending on how we round this off. But I'm going to assume it's that. It's actually it's 8.75, so this has been rounded off. But I'm going to just leave it like this. Calculator. Although I could do a second answer right there. Let's do that. 124.13. Remember what I did a while ago? I did this. Remember that? Okay. So 124.13 divided by, open parentheses, second answer, so that gets the 98.75, or whatever it's rounded off to be, times, open up this parentheses right here, 3 divided by 12, close that parentheses, that's the red one, another parentheses, that's the green one. Press enter. Now, this is one of those situations where it's not showing us everything we need to see. It looks like the effective rate is 5%, doesn't it? Well, that's a decimal. What would you have to do to turn that into a percentage? Do this. Times 100. D'Angelo's right. Whoops. Not 1,000. Just 100. So here you see it's actually 5.03. Now let me write this down. I'll tell you what this actually is done for us here. So 5.03%. This just shows that sometimes there's a difference between what you think the interest is and what it really is. So in this case, they stated this a little different. They told us what the rate was. Now this had to be based on what somebody actually paid for the bill, or the T-note. I keep calling it a bill, but it is a form. So that's what it looked like the interest was, and that's what we used to calculate the interest. Well, that's what it looked like the rate was, and we used that to calculate the interest. Then we plugged that in along with what we really had to pay, and then the time, and we're actually effectively making 5%. What happens here, this is what the interest is we're going to get, but we only had to invest that much money to get it. Not $10,000, only $98.75.88. That's why this went up, because this wasn't $10,000. It was a little bit less, which drove your interest up a little. Your effective interest was a little higher. Okay?
I thought 0.3%.
0.3?
Oh, yeah, 0.3. 0.3.
A 3 here instead of a 5?
Yeah.
Yep. Something went off the rails there somewhere. Check your numbers. Let me,
Have exactly what you put in.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
There's got to be
I
something.
typed in what you typed in. I got it.
You talking about 5, you talking about a 3 here?
No, I got a 5 there.
And then
Yeah,
what over
that's
here?
right.
5.0 what? Is that what you're saying, Bex?
Yeah.
No, I got like
Round those up,
point
basically.
314.
All right. I'll try to remember to put some problems out there.
Don't forget about the Halloween party.
Okay.
If you just go to my brain,
What?
it has been 0 on something I did that simple.
Send me an email, because I won't remember. Okay. Y'all have a good break, and don't do anything stupid. Remember, if you think you should tell somebody that, wait, watch this, stop what you're doing.